Our first overreaction. This is the best Braves team of the last decade.
I'm going to say that's not an overreaction.
Ooh.
And I'll do you one better.
Okay.
I will say that this is the best Braves team since the early 2000s Atlanta Braves. That's how much I believe in this team. Look, Acuna's back.
Mm-hmm.
He's a superstar. He's the superstar we all expected him to be before his injury. Spencer Strider has elite stuff, Cy Young stuff. He's on this team. Pair him with Max Fried at the top of the rotation. And then some other names. I mean, what if Mike Soroka comes back? Michael Soroka comes back and becomes the player he was beforehand. Kyle Wright. You have Austin Riley, the young guy that has signed the biggest free agent deal in Braves history. You have Matt Olson over at first base now. A healthy Ozzie Albies has been great at second base. Sean Murphy behind the plate, the big acquisition there. The best start this year for the Atlanta Braves are 12-4. The best start since they were 13-3 in 2013. This team has it all. They have a really good bullpen that's only going to get better when Raisel Iglesias comes back. So I don't think it's an overreaction at all to say this is the best Braves team in the last decade. And I'll do you one better and say this is the best Braves team since the early 2000s. And yes, it's better than the Braves team that won the World Series in 2021 against the Astros. I think it's better than all of them. This team is unbelievable. They have all of the makings of a World Series team. I'm very high on this team, and that's why I had them winning the National League. So no, best Braves team of the last decade is not at all an overreaction.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Did you have them winning the World Series this year?
No, I had Astros over the Braves in the World Series. One of those teams is playing a lot better than the other right now, is in the Atlanta Braves. But, the Astros have done this in the past where they start off slow, and nobody should worry about the Astros. But I was high on them, and I have them winning the National League, and for good reason. And the start that they're having is the best start since 2013.
Yep.
Man, they're good.
They're great.
Yep.
All right, we're moving to our next overreaction. Ben, the Phillies are cooked.
The Phillies are cooked. Let me think about this. I'm going to say that this is an overreaction.
Okay.
The Phillies, again, I'm a big, let's not press the panic button too early. Now, there have been reasons this year to perhaps push it, but let's be honest. It's still early. They've come off of a decent series against the Reds where we finally saw that offense show up. Now, the Reds can pitch. We finally saw the Phillies offense show up. That's what will win them games. Am I confident that this team makes the playoffs still? No. No, I'm not. But to say they're cooked less than 20 games into the year seems unfair. They got off to a slow start last year. They've gotten off to slow starts before and been just fine. So, am I worried? Yes, I am. But are they cooked? No, they're not. That's an overreaction.
Yeah, I mean, they did a big win on Sunday. They put up 9 runs in the first inning. As you mentioned, offense is what's gonna win them games. And they're getting their MVP Bryce Harper back in maybe a couple of months.
I mean, he's even said he's apparently ahead of schedule and wants to get back before everybody says so. But guess what? The doctors are the ones that make that final decision, and we will see. But yeah, they're gonna get healthier.
Yeah.
The top 2 guys of the rotation are very good, and Nola and Wheeler. But they've struggled beyond that. Depth in the rotation, bullpen, but they're going to get Ranger Suarez back, hopefully, and he will continue to be good. I do big time worry about that bullpen. Big worries there.
Yeah.
So are they cooked? No. Am I worried? Yeah, I would say I'm a little worried about the Phillies.
Okay. Ready for a third overreaction?
Yep.
Okay. The Red Sox will finish last in the AL East.
That's not an overreaction. Well, let's go through it.
Okay.
Right? Are they better than the Yankees? No. Are they better than the Blue Jays? No. Are they better than the Rays? No. Are they better than the Baltimore Orioles? I would say no. And the Orioles were better than the Red Sox last year. They announced themselves with authority on the map. Are they Are the Red Sox better than the Orioles this year? I say no. So I think the Red Sox can compete, and I think the Red Sox can beat anybody. But are they going to do it over the course of a year and be better than everybody in the AL East? I don't think so. I think they again finished in last. And the injury to Adam Duvall was huge for them. And let's backtrack a month ago. And imagine me sitting here 2 weeks into the year, 3 weeks into the year, and saying, man, that Adam Duvall injury is going to be the one that's a backbreaker. But what Adam Duvall was doing for this team, the team on paper wasn't even close to the best team in this division. They needed somebody to step up and have an MVP caliber year that you didn't expect it. That's what you needed, and you were getting it from Adam Duvall. And then he gets hurt and goes down, and then it's just a huge blow to this team. The pitching is not great. They finally have themselves a closer. Kenley Jansen's good, but you got to get it. You got to get it there. I think the Red Sox have the potential of a team that finishes around 500 or maybe slightly above. But I really like the Orioles, and of course the other teams in the division are very good. So I will say that's not an overreaction. Red Sox are going to finish last in the AL East.
And they're at an even 500 right now, and they're at the bottom.
Exactly.
Of the standing. So
that's
it's like that's where you're at. That's what this division is.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to our next overreaction. Luis Arraez will win back-to-back batting titles.
Woo! That's a bold one.
Yeah.
And I say that's bold because there's only been 2 players that have won a batting title in both leagues in history. DJ LeMahieu is the only one that's done it in the modern era. DJ LeMahieu won it in 2020 with the Yankees and in 2016 with the Rockies. And it's the only modern one because the only other player in history that has won a batting title in both leagues is a guy named Pete Browning, who did it in 1882 and 1885 for the Louisville Eclipse of the American Association. And in 1890, he did it in the Players League with a team named the Cleveland Infants. Yep, the Infants.
What?
Yep, you heard me right. The Cleveland Infants in 1890. So those were 2 different leagues, the American Association and the Players League. So he's the only other one that's done it. And I am going to say, Alex, that this is not an overreaction. I think Luis Arraez is the first ever player to win a batting title in back-to-back years. And I think he's the first ever player, of course, to win a batting title in back-to-back years in 2 different leagues. The guy's hitting over 500 this year. And if you ever watch Luis Arraez, he is the definition of a hitter. The guy's not going to hit 30 homers. He might not even hit 20 homers. But I'm not going to count him out for hitting 500 on the year. That's how good he is. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. But look, if there's somebody in the league right now that you says has a chance to hit over 400 for the first time since, what, Ted Williams? Is that what it is? First time since Ted Williams? The answer is going to be Luis Arraez. That's how good he is. And I think that is not an overreaction to say that he will win back-to-back batting titles.
And it would be the first time that would happen back-to-back, but in 2 different leagues.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I think he has every bit of a chance to do that. First time it'll happen back-to-back in 2 different leagues, and first time it would happen back-to-back.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy.
I think he can do it.
Okay. Moving on to our next overreaction. You ready?
Yep.
Brett Beatty can still win NL Rookie of the Year.
I don't think that's an overreaction.
Okay.
Do I think it happens? No, because of Corbin Carroll, my NL Rookie of the Year pick, driver of that bandwagon. But I don't think it's an overreaction to say that Brett Beatty can win. Still plenty of time in the year. We are less than 20 games into the year, meaning if all goes well and he stays healthy, he could play in over 140 games still. Certainly the possibility of winning the Rookie of the Year is there. He was dominant in AAA this year. He should have made the team out of spring training. Absolutely should have happened. But he didn't. So he played in AAA, got 42 plate appearances, hit 400 in those 42 plate appearances with an OPS of right around 1,400. 5 homers in 9 games. He was great. He should have made the opening day team. He should have made the opening day roster and been the opening day starting third baseman, but that did not happen. Eduardo Escobar ended up being the one that made the team and ended up playing third base. But now that's not going to happen anymore, at least on a normal basis. And Eduardo Escobar was asked about this the other day. Before Brett Beatty was even called up, he was asked about Brett Beatty, and he said he deserves everything he's getting right now. Now that he's getting called up, he's put in the work. He deserves to come up here and play and do what he does because he's that good of a player. He's the future of this team. So that was a quote he had when Brett Beatty was getting called up. He even, prior to that, had something to say about him. He basically was like, I know he's coming, and I know he's going to play third base, and he deserves it. And to hear him say this, it's a tough position for Eduardo Escobar to be in. You know, he's losing his job. Mm-hmm. And you know it's happening. The writing is on the wall. You have the future of the third base position coming up and taking your spot. But for him to be this gracious, Eduardo Escobar is one of the better human beings in the league. And of course he handles it this way. But Brett Beatty is coming, and I wholeheartedly believe that he can still win NL Rookie of the Year. And I would go out on a limb here and say that I think Brett Beatty does finish top 3 in the NL Rookie of the Year voting.
Ooh. And do you remember when he made his MLB debut in 2022? His first at bat?
No.
Home run.
Okay. I remember the debut, but I didn't remember exactly what happened.
First at bat.
But he did end up struggling, right?
Yeah.
He did end up struggling in his limited time in the big leagues. But this guy's better than AAA. This guy is ready for the big leagues, and I think he's going to be a huge piece. Steve Cohen talked about it when he seemingly signed Carlos Correa, that, well, we needed another bat, and this is it. That didn't end up happening. And to start the year, I think it's pretty fair to say the Mets have needed another bat, and this guy could be it.